8 straight threes. That's what Illinois threw at the women. And still, Iowa Hawkeyes women's basketball team survives the scare, locked up the number 2 seed in the Big Ten tournament, and might have just punched their ticket to a number 2 seed in the Big Dance.
You are Locked On Hawkeyes, your daily podcast on the Iowa Hawkeyes. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
I'm Trent Condon, and this is the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. We are your daily Iowa Hawkeye podcast. I've been covering the Hawkeyes for over 20 years on the radio, including currently on the Iowa Sports Radio Network. You can hear me each weekday from noon to 2, talking the world of sports and lots of Hawkeyes with you, with stations in Iowa City, Cedar Rapids, the Quad City, Sioux City, and our flagship 106.3 KXNO. Have your cake and drink it too. Birthday cake flavor is back. No fork required. Vanilla cakey flavor, caffeinated kick, and no sugar. It's party time. Order now, 5hourenergy.com or on Amazon. Well, we got some football talk coming up for you today, a little bit later on, as we will break down the defensive end position and if I was going to have a chance to get to the quarterback a little bit more this season. We see a couple of guys out at the NFL Combine. We will get into that as well and talk about some of the new names we should know on the defensive line for Iowa this season. We'll be joined by Elliot Clough. We'll talk a little bit about that with him and relive the victory against Ohio State, the big win for the Hawkeye men, what that means, and some unsung heroes that came out of that one. We begin, though, with what we see here on Thursday night as Iowa survives the upset scare against Illinois. An Illinois team that came in 10-0 Iowa right away and maybe thought, well, they're going to run them right out of the gym. But they responded, and they responded it the way Illinois is built. This is an Illinois team that certainly can shoot the ball from the outside, and the 8 3-pointers in the second half were a big part of that. But they settled in after Iowa got out to the hot start in this one and came back and get it done. Back and forth affair. At one point, Illinois takes a 6-point lead in the fourth quarter of the game, and you're a little bit concerned about this squad. You know, the letdown factor was one of the components that we talked about leading into this game. After that big emotional win against Michigan, not only that, that was senior day, though they had the finale here tonight at Carver Hawkeye Arena, and you could see that a little bit. And I found it interesting, Jan Jensen talking to the Big Ten Network crew after the game, and she brought up that they were almost pressing a little too much and that they were, trying to do too much. And I thought you saw that certainly at different times during the first half and really at different portions throughout the whole complex of this game. This will be remembered once again as another one of those Ava Heiden games. And we are going to have a ton of Ava Heiden games going forward. We talk about this squad and the names, certainly we know. And Hannah Stuelke going out there, gets injured early in the game, comes back. What a performance out of her. 18 points. She was good. Clutch free throws down the stretch. Something that's always been a bugaboo of Hannah Stuelke has been at the free throw line. She stepped up and hit big ones, though, down the stretch to get the victory. But the 4 assists, and many of them going to Ava Heiden, and that continued high-low action, we've been waiting for it to unfold a little bit and waiting for what we anticipated to see. You know, a year ago, there was the thought that we were going to see Hannah Stuelke play the 4, and eventually that wasn't the case. They went a different direction and had her playing more of the center position, so we didn't get to see much Ava Heiden as a freshman. But the work that they've done, you can see that maturation happening. And so, yes, I'm an old man, and because of that, I still love the 6-player game in women's basketball, girls basketball, back in the day at the high school level that we had. 3-on-3 on each side of the court. Now, it also helped that I went to a school that was very good at it. I won the second to last 6-on-6 championship with the Green Devils. Shout out to that crew that brought home the title to Osage. But I remember watching those games, and it reminded me so much just watching what they were doing. Of course, yes, there's 10 players on that end of the floor, but with the high-low action that they have, and Jan Jensen, of course, that's how she played. And the 6-on-6 game back in the day where you just had 3 offensive players on the end of the floor, and that was the kind of action that you would see when you had 2 good post players, and that's what I was certainly implementing, and the great passing that we're seeing out of Hannah Stuelke. Heiden finishes the game 28 points, 13 of 18 from the floor, and again, we see that emotion coming out of her. Now, I was a little bit surprised down the stretch. I understand offensive, defensive substitutions. I get that, but there were times I was hollering at my TV, get Heiden back in there. What are you doing, Jan? And I'm sure I wasn't alone, and I'm sure there were some people in Carver kind of thinking the same thing because she was just absolutely cooking in the second half. Another game where Chit Chat Wright struggled. Just 4 points in the game, all came from the free throw line, didn't hit a shot, only took 4 of them. 0-1 from 3, 0-4 from the floor. Did have 5 assists, though, and finished the game with just a couple of turnovers. Iowa finishes the game with 11 turnovers. That's great. Even better, just 1 turnover in the second half of this game. They made everything in a night where they didn't shoot it well from the outside, just 2 of 7 from behind the three-point arc. Both of those came from Kylie Feuerbach, including another one from Feuerbach late in the third quarter, as she did the previous game against Michigan. Knocking on those shots. We know what she is and how tremendous she is on the defensive end of the floor. And we definitely saw that come up in a big-time way. Talk about this game also. Be remiss if we didn't bring up Taylor Stremlow, a double-double in the game, 11 points, 11 assists. She is just everything that you want, tenacity. And one other shout-out, got to talk about the play of Journey Houston. She was, once again, awesome in this game. Now, you everyday listeners, you know that I've always liked the skill set of Journey Houston, what she adds to this team as a rebounder. Absolutely outstanding. One of the better rebounders that they have on this team. Defensive rating very high for her also. And she's not scared of the moment. I mean, she goes in there. She's ready to go right away. She doesn't wilt away. She isn't scared of the moment. And we're seeing the ascension now of Journey Houston as a bench piece, with now the depth being hit because of the injuries this year. You go back to the beginning of the season, go back to when they went down to Florida and won those games against Baylor and against Miami. She played a combined 7 minutes in those 2 games. And now they don't have Emily Rodriguez, who played in both of those games. In fact, those are the last times that we saw Emily Rodriguez. We obviously had the injury to Taylor McCabe and her being out for the season, and that's meant more minutes for Journey Houston. And she's become part of this rotation, and she's cooking. 7 of the last 9 games, she scored 7 points or more off the bench for the Hawkeyes, including 4 games where she's gone for double figures. 9 points in this one against Illinois. Another time, just not scared of the moment and having little toughness, really good rebounding. That goes a long ways off the bench, and really got to give credit to her, what she's been able to do in her freshman campaign. This is still a young team. You're talking about Heiden, Chit Chat Wright, they're sophomores, along with Stremlow. We're talking about freshmen. Addie Deal had a couple of good moments. Obviously, Journey Houston, what we've seen out of them. Yes, Stuelke, we've seen her for a long time. We see her going back to when she was playing with Caitlin Clark. We go back and we've seen players like Taylor McCabe, like we mentioned, though out for the season. And we've seen throughout the course of her career, Kylie Feuerbach and what she's developed into as a defender and what she can do, obviously knocking out a couple of shots, but more importantly, on-ball defense and drawing that moving screen at the end of the ball game that really salted things away for Iowa. Just a team victory on one that was maybe difficult to bounce back, and now they have locked up the number 2 seed, even if they get upset against Wisconsin, still in good shape to be there, because I don't think that's going to happen. Look, this Wisconsin team, though they're improved of what they've been some of the past years, they're still not very good. They're going to be on the bottom side of the bracket. Most importantly, though, they will be away from UCLA until the championship game. If they can advance that far, that is definitely great news. And when I projected, if everything plays out according to plan this weekend, no major upsets or anything like that, Iowa, the number 2 seed, they would await the winner of Michigan State, the 7, and likely Illinois. That would be the 7-10 game, again, if seeding plays out. So a rematch against either the Spartans or the Illini, and then it'd be a semifinal matchup against Michigan in the semifinals of the Big Ten tournament coming up from Indianapolis. So that is what in front of them. One more game, though, of the regular season, as mentioned, against Wisconsin, though improved. They got a new coaching staff there with Robin Pidgeon comes in from Missouri. Her teams at Missouri were okay. The biggest thing about them, they could shoot the basketball. That was kind of their greatest component. Really good shooting team at Mizzou, and that is translated also here in year number 1 at Wisconsin. That is the one thing. They can shoot it from the outside. Got a couple of really good shooters out there. Howell, probably their best player. Where's number 1? She shoots it 40% from behind the arc. Also have another good shooter in Cron. That's what you're looking for. Cover up the three-point line. Play the good defense that we've seen through most of this. Don't let a team hit 8 straight 9 straight, going back to the end of the first half, and I was going to be in good shape and finishing off the season of what has been a tremendous one. I mean, if you would have said coming into the season that Iowa was going to go through 24-9, 24-5 in the regular season, 24-5, 15-3 in the Big Ten, everybody would have signed up for that before the year with all the new faces, new pieces, new roles. Tremendous job this year with Jan Jensen, even if she did have me yelling at my TV a little bit there at the end. That will hit the women's basketball and a great victory for the Iowa women. Let's get into the men's side of things, talk about the win against Ohio State, and a look forward for the Hawkeyes as they try to avoid another bad loss against Penn State and solidify themselves an NCAA tournament team. Plus, we'll talk football. Coming up next is Elliot Clough is going to join us, HawkeyeInsider.com, a breakdown of Hawkeye hoops and some football next. It's Locked On Hawkeyes.
I'm Clea Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. South Carolina rolled past Ole Miss 85-48 to clinch a share of the SEC regular season title and lock down the number 1 seed in the conference tournament. The Gamecocks extended their win streak over Ole Miss to 21 straight. UCLA dominated Wisconsin 80-60 to secure its first outright Big Ten regular season championship in program history. The Bruins improved to 27-1 overall and remain unbeaten in conference play. And number 12 TCU stormed back from a 13-point fourth quarter deficit to beat Iowa State 80-73. The Horned Frogs now sit alone atop the Big 12 standings and are 1 win away from clinching another regular season conference crown. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts that same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment, putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
Ever wanted to experience the NBA Finals live and in person? FanDuel is giving you the chance to turn that dream into reality with their NBA sweepstakes. Here's how it works. Use your profit boost on any NBA future, and you'll automatically be entered for a shot to win an NBA Finals trip for 2. That's right. You get it all. The flights, the tickets, the whole experience for the NBA Finals. Maybe you're taking a look at the board right now. You see something that catches your eye. You want to look out east. You love the way that the Pistons are playing. You look and you say, you know what, with the return possibility of getting Jason Tatum back, you're jumping aboard with the Celtics. Whatever it is your chance right now to lock it in and give yourself a chance to get to the NBA Finals. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Use your profit boost on an NBA future and get entered for your chance to win a trip to the NBA Finals. Play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Back with you once again here on the Locked On Hawkeyes podcast. Thanks for being with us and making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen of the day. Let's get into it, talking some Hawkeye basketball and football with Elliot Clough of Hawkeye Insider.
About last night and what we saw on the floor last night, obviously with the exception of the start of the game, the first few minutes of the game, a just dominating win by the Hawkeyes. Trent and I both think that this will be maybe remembered as, and when you look back, the Folgueiras game, if you will. He was just so damn good, did everything. You saw some emotion out of him when he made that big dunk. He was, distributing the basketball. He had a handful of assists in the game, 20 points. What a night for Alvaro Folgueiras.
Yeah, he was awesome. If you're Ben McCullum, maybe you see what you can get past a judge to see if you can get his older brother to come by, because he's going to play like that every time his brother's in town. Might as well have him on the roster. He's a pro player in Ireland, for those who
Oh, is he? I didn't know that part of it.
Yeah. They grew up playing against each other. Another tall guy, and I guess they helped each other develop and such. I don't know if he played any college ball. I'm assuming not, but yeah, that would be something to look into if you're Ben. If other teams can do it, why not? Yeah, I mean, he was awesome last night. And the other thing I'll point out too is about his game last night is that the thing that we recognized early on his time at Iowa is that he spaced the floor a little bit, more of a stretch four. Last night, all of his points came in the paint from the free throw line. When Alvaro Folgueiras is aggressive and looking to attack off the dribble, that makes this team so much better. It takes so much pressure off Bennett Sturt. I mean, Iowa's 12-1 when he scores in double figures.
Wow.
Like that's telling of the way he plays the game and how impactful he can be, especially again when he's looking to attack off the dribble, get to the rim, get to the free throw line. Like if you can shoot the three and knock him down, awesome. But I think he's better when he puts the ball on the floor and is in attack mode first.
And we saw this team in attack mode throughout. It was a bunch of different guys. You had Manuel, what he was able to do in there. Bennett starts turning the corner and getting to the rim. A little bit of everything, kind of putting it on the floor, getting in there. It helped that Tilly was out, not out there for the Buckeyes. I get that, but it's something that I've kind of talked about a lot throughout the course of this season. I want to see this team do it more. 44 points in the paint. This is not a great three-point shooting team. And with Cooper Koch's struggles, we know Bennett Sturts can make it out there. This is not a team built for three-point shooting. Need to get more of this, more off the bounce. Did they find out a little bit more? And maybe this is going to be something more part of the game plan going forward. And again, it helps when they don't got a big center in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I mean, Ohio State did have a 7-1 center in there.
That guy was a stiff.
Yeah, he was not very good. So, but just for context. But yeah, I mean, 44-18 in the paint, like, anytime you do that, you're probably going to win.
Mm-hmm.
And like you mentioned, like Cooper is a good shooter. He hasn't had a great year. I think he's missed too many shots. I think people also forget that he's a redshirt freshman in his first year under a new head coach with a completely different coaching philosophy, completely different schematics, and he's still figuring it out. He was a starter at the beginning of the year. He's the prototypical 6'8", 6'9" guy who can shoot and defend that McCollum wants. Like, he might be in a shooting slump, but the thing I said last night is lock him in a gym and have him make 100 threes every day this summer.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to help him a lot. But anyway, back to your point, I think it's easier said than done. I mean, like you mentioned, Tilly being out, that definitely had something to do with their ability to get to the rim, to attack the rim. And, we're going to learn probably quite a bit next week when they play Michigan, as far as the ability to attack the rim consistently, get there, get to the free throw line. How much, how the refs officiate that is definitely going to be something of note. But it is a lot easier said than done, getting to the rim, and especially when you're center's 6'9". He's not 6'11". He's not 7 feet. And Alvaro, like he was great last night getting to the rim. He's real thin, man. Like if he's gonna, I don't think he's gonna get bullied, right? Like, right. But at the same time, I think that it is just with the way this roster is constructed, it's a lot easier said than done to attack the rim and get buckets with regularity. But if there's anybody who can scheme that up consistently, it is Ben McCollum. It's just about execution, and you can say this team's not a 3-point shooting team, which I agree. They maybe could be a better 3-point shooting team if they put Brennan Hoffman on the floor fairly regularly, which they don't. But but you have to make those open threes. Like Isaiah Howard needs to be more consistent from three. Cale Combs had a stretch where he was awesome. Looked better last night. He was awesome defensively. Yep. And if Bennett, you can trust Bennett to create safe separation and hit a three. Tavion Banks was really good from three for a little while. We haven't seen him shoot one of those in a bit. So yeah, if you can get to the basket, if you can draw fouls, man, do it all day long. And that's one of those things that I think Ben McCollum is good at, is if a defense shows a weakness, just run the same thing and make them stop it. Right. Like that. I think last night was an epitome of that in terms of their willingness to get after the basket, get to the basket, and finish and also get to the free throw line.
Yeah, you're right. We do forget that the Koch is a redshirt freshman. I forget that Tate Sage is a true freshman sometimes, because we've seen some really good games out of him, Elliot. But lately, particularly in the month of February, although he had a pretty decent game against Wisconsin, really good game against Wisconsin, but too few and far between. Is that just life as a freshman in the Big Ten when it comes to Tate Sage?
I would say so. Yeah, I mean, he's like you said, he's had some really good games. He's had some games where I don't want to say disappears, but or say he's a non-factor, because I don't think either of those things would be true. But he's less impactful. If you don't see it on the offensive end, you see it on the defensive end at least. He is a really good defender, especially for being a freshman. I think he uses his size, his length really well. and his bounce, frankly. Definitely an underrated athlete, but I would agree with that. I think that's just life in the Big Ten as a freshman when you're not, a 5-star recruit. We have to remember, guys, I mean, he was expecting to play at Drake this year.
Yep.
Like, for him to show up and play the way he has already, like, he gets a pass from me if he doesn't have the greatest game in the world, right? And I think I don't have the stats in front of me, but he missed a few threes last night that were decent shots. And sometimes that just happens, I said it. Cooper Koch is a good shooter. The percentages and the way he's shooting the ball right now, I don't think is indicative of the way he can and more often than not does shoot the basketball. So I got to give Tate Sage the benefit of the doubt. The fact that he's playing and has been a consistent part of the rotation this season earned the trust of Ben McCollum on that front. That is a huge indicator of what he is and what he can be already.
We'd be remiss if we didn't bring up Cale Cones, a guy that has certainly gotten some arrows here over the last month or so. Hit a three-pointer, but most importantly, the defense that he had on Bruce Thornton, who's been a thorn in the side of the Hawkeyes here.
And a lot of teams.
And yeah, the Hawkeyes are not alone on that front. I thought Cale Combs and the team defense was outstanding against Thornton.
Yeah, the way they blitzed the ball screen, the way that Cale, there were times where Cale just didn't even let Thornton touch the ball, especially in the first half. Thornton finished 0 for 3 for 0 points, and he played all 20 minutes in that first half. And what's the best way to prevent one of those scorers from scoring the basketball? Make sure they don't touch the basketball. And that's one of the things that Cale did, not only in his pick and roll coverage, but his off-ball defense too. I think on your show before, but for those of you who don't know, he was recruited to play Division I football too. He's got some athleticism. He was offered a scholarship to play wide receiver at Western Michigan by Tim Lester. So he's got some of that athleticism and that ability to keep up with those guys who are the elite scorers of the Big Ten. And, for as much grief as he's gotten as of late for his poor offensive play, man, he's an asset defensively. And, I'm not looking at Cale and expecting him to be, the next Trevor or the Hudgens who McCollum had at Northwest and won some titles with, or to be the next Bennett Sturts. But he has value on this team. And McCollum said it a couple days ago too, is that he can take away the opponent's point guard, the best guard or what have you. And I think we saw that last night. And he needs to be more consistent again as a shooter. Things just spaced out with him when he's shooting the ball well. And he's one of the guys that sticks out to me as the ones that pass up a good shot at the end of the shot clock to try to get a great shot, to overpass or whatever. I think that's one of the things that's inhibiting him offensively. So I think that would help him get maybe sort of out of this funk. He did get a fast break layup last night, as well as a three-pointer. To see that three-pointer go down probably had to feel real good for him for the offensive slump he's been in. But yeah, the defense is worth it to have him on the floor.
Penn State Saturday, then finish home to Michigan at Nebraska. Is there a team in the middle of the Big Ten, Elliot, that's maybe got your attention, kind of in the area of Iowa where they are in the standing? Maybe it's UCLA with Dent. Is there a team that, outside of the Big Five, if you will, that you're going to pay close attention to once we get to either the Big Ten tournament or even going forward into the Big Dance?
Yeah. I would probably say UCLA is a good one. Any team with a lead guard like Donovan Dent is going to give you some trouble, give anybody trouble, right? And prior to last night's game, I probably would have said the same thing about Bruce Thornton in Ohio State. Mm-hmm. On a neutral floor, it might be a little different, and Indiana has had some issues as of late, but like Tucker DeVries, I got to see him quite a bit in the Missouri Valley Conference. That dude, if he gets hot, he can really shoot. He's not even their leading scorer at Indiana. We saw the athletes that USC has. Washington, and I'm going down towards the bottom of the Big Ten-ish now. But Washington, we saw what they were capable of. That night was nuts, scoring 48 points in the first half. But
Steinbach's a top 5 player. A top 5 pick, I think. I love this kid's game.
Okay. All right. Well, anyway, the middle of the Big Ten isn't, there's a tier difference between the Michigan, Nebraska, Illinois, Michigan State, Purdue, and maybe Wisconsin and everybody else. But it's the Big Ten, right? Like you can't take a night off.
Yeah.
You can't take a night off. You can't look over any of those initial teams because they'll take advantage. Like it's not the MVC anymore. It's not mid-major basketball for Ben McCollum. You have to, and for some of these great guys, you have to lock in every single night. And I think they're starting to figure that out as the season has started to get towards the end here. Maybe not in the first 5 minutes of the game, but otherwise, I think they've started to figure it out. And at the same time, you can't be taken advantage of in those early rounds of the Big Ten. If you get one of those draws and you face UCLA early, you can't think, oh, we beat them at home, we'll beat them again.
Mm-hmm.
You have to show up. You have to play the defense on a Donovan Dent, and you have to get the job done and move forward in the Big Ten. Like this team, we've seen them control the pace of games. We've seen them get what they want offensively. And when Alvaro plays like he did last night, or Tavion Banks has a great game, they can hang with a lot of these teams in the Big Ten. I mean, don't color me shocked if they get a revenge game on a Purdue or a Michigan State or a Wisconsin in the Big Ten tournament.
Want to jump over to football? You had an article earlier this week at HawkeyeInsider.com talking about the defensive end position, and you lose two multi-year starters, guys that have played a lot of snaps, at least in Llewellyn and Herkett. Also, Brian Allen moves on as he's over in Vanderbilt. It is going to be a new look over there. And Iowa didn't do a great job of getting the quarterback, certainly from the defensive end position a year ago. When you look at this new group, they go out there in the portal. They got some young guys with Shanike and Anderson and Yosei Epinesa. You're certainly excited about what is kind of your outlook on the defensive end position and potentially being able to get to the quarterback a little bit better this year?
Yeah, I think truthfully, well, the conversation has to start with Kenneth Merriweather because he is the only guy coming back that was part of the rotation last year. Do I see him as being a double-digit sack guy? I don't. Do you hope he can be the leader and that rock of that defensive end group like, a Joe Evans or an Ethan Herkett were the last 2 years? I think that's what you really are shooting for from a Kenneth Merriweather. If he does become that double-digit sack guy, then awesome. Mm-hmm. But if you're looking for that pass rusher, I think you have to go to Yosei Epinesa. Yes, they did use his red shirt this last year. I think he only played 4 games. But the physical tools, I mean, you could see what he did on his huddle against kids in the St. Louis area during his prep career. But the reason he was a 5-star for us at 24/7 Sports, is the fact that he did it against some of these All-American guys at these big showcase bowl sort of things when he was in high school. The violence, he looks like a grown man out there with boys. The speed off the ball. If there's gonna be a feared pass rusher on this roster, I think it's Epinesa. I want to see more from what Kamari Brown can do at this level as opposed to at the FCS, because his grades, like PFF grades, were phenomenal, both in the run and the pass. 16 tackles for loss, 12 sacks. But that wasn't Elon, right? Like he ended up, I think he tied or set the program career sack record in 2 years of Elon, which is awesome. That's incredible. Now, can you do it at the Big Ten level? I want to see more from Joe Anderson and Chima Chineke. Anderson, again, a guy that's really explosive athlete, super long, was going to be on the track team at Iowa before he decided to commit to football fully. But the twitchiness is there. He's 6'6" and 240 pounds. So you got to put something like that. I'd have to double check the football roster, but real thin. If he's putting on a ton of weight this spring and summer, then he's a guy that I'm keeping my eye on. And Chima, he's one of those Texas recruits that like, okay, you're from the Lone Star State. We're going to expect a little bit more from you. Super long. But yeah, it's a really interesting group. A lot of turnover, like you mentioned, no Brian Allen. I think if there is a star in that group, his last name's Epinesa, right? Like we got to roll with Yosei.
There he is. It is Elliot Clough joining us, HawkeyeInsider.com. Thanks as always to Elliot for joining us and giving us some time as we talk Hawkeyes and a look at that defensive line and the defensive position on the end specifically. Going to be very new look coming up this season. We're going to dive a little bit deeper into that. More football talk as we continue. This is Locked On Hawkeyes. Today's episode of Locked On Hawkeyes is brought to you by GameTime. Well, the biggest stretch of the college basketball season, it is here. And what a time it is. Absolutely love it. The buzzer beaters, the bracket busters, unforgettable moments that everyone's talking about the next day. Being there live for something like that, that's bucket list stuff. The hard part is actually getting tickets. Long queues, prices jumping around, surprise fees at checkout. The GameTime app gives fans the advantage with constant innovation. It's how you unlock amazing tickets and experiences in just a few taps. It's incredibly simply to use. The GameTime guarantee means 100% legitimate tickets delivered on time at the best price. And here's the best part. Fees are included in the price you see. What you see is what you pay. The Hawkeyes finale against Michigan coming up next week should be a great environment at Carver Hawkeye Arena and a chance to pull what would be a monster upset in year number 1 of the Ben McCullum era. But you can find tickets right there on the GameTime app, plus an opportunity for you to save just a little bit coming up here in that one. I love getting on the app, seeing the deals that are out there, and being able to see exactly where you're going to be inside the arena. No stress, no guesswork, just a smooth experience from start to finish, exactly what you want in the busiest part of the season. Take the guesswork out of buying college basketball tickets with GameTime. Download the GameTime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDON for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDON, LOCKEDON, for $20 off. Download the GameTime app today. Today's episode is also brought to you by our friends at 5 Hour Energy. Well, it is time for the 5 Hour Energy Flavor Draft. 18 different flavors to choose from, including new options like Confetti Craze, Fruity Rainbow, or Cotton Candy. There's something for everyone. The board is set, the flavors are ready, and I got my number 1 pick for the flavor draft. For me, I like sweet, and for me, that cotton candy sounds delicious. When it's cold outside, you're thinking about summer. Maybe you're thinking about the state fair. The sweet side of tasty caffeine comes with cotton candy. Light, airy candy profile, sweetness from start to finish, a sweet tooth fix without any of that sugar guilt. But there's so many other flavors out there. You can go traditional, cherry, grape, berry, absolutely got you covered there. How about a summer sour apple for you, or a Hawaiian breeze? They got you covered with 5 Hour Energy. Blue raspberry, ooh, that one's maybe the dark horse that is catching my eye. Find all of this and find 5 Hour Energy shots with a boost with 0 sugar. Absolutely love this and what 5 Hour Energy is putting together. Find your new favorite flavor of 5 Hour Energy shots. Available online, 5hourenergy.com, or you can find them on Amazon. Trent Condon back with you one final time. Locked On Hawkeyes. Thanks for being with us and making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. So we've been talking a little football here at the end of that defensive end position. One of the guys that came up, we know Jose Epinesa. I think it's going to see another big step in that maturation, obviously, and the ability. He's going to play certainly more snaps even than we saw earlier in the career from his older brother, AJ, and what he was able to do. He's going to have that opportunity this season. You got Merriweather coming back. That's nice, a nice solid piece, a veteran presence, a guy that's going to be dependable, reliable. Brown coming in from Elon, as Elliot talked about, really exciting. But the most intriguing prospect to me is still Joseph Anderson. With that long frame, the NFL bloodlines, there's a lot that you can point to, and he is just a freak athletically. And what Iowa does and what you see from them, practice, game, practice in, practice out, it is repeatable, right? Doing those same things and the understanding and playing as a full unit defensively together. Joseph Anderson, though, you're talking about that big upside. We know Epinesa has that, but he's a guy I'm definitely keeping an eye on and going to be excited about, I think, going in to next season. There's depth there. Now it's about taking that next step, and probably a little bit younger than they'd like to be at this spot in their career. Epinesa is going to be a redshirt freshman, Merriweather, a redshirt junior, Anderson, Shanike, both those guys sophomores, and there's going to be some other pieces. We mentioned Kamari Brown coming in out of the transfer portal. Going to be different, no doubt. Going to be some new faces out there, but I think a lot of upside at that position, something that's exciting. Definitely for Iowa football. Out of time for today. Back with you tomorrow for a final edition of the week here, Locked On Hawkeyes. Of course, a big weekend coming up with the Iowa men's team on the road for Penn State. Early tip-off for that one, 11 a.m. on Saturday. Then the women conclude their regular season on Sunday, and we'll have you covered here with Rapid Reaction Podcast to that on Locked On Hawkeyes. As always, thanks for making Locked On Hawkeyes your first listen every day. And if you are an everyday listener, we got something for you. It is our Everydayer Club, an opportunity for you. Listen to the same show you do each and every day, but do it ad-free. We also have members-only Discord access. Just go to the website, lockedonhawkeyes.supercast.com, lockedonhawkeyes.supercast.com, and go ad-free and support what we're doing for you each and every day. Have a great one. We'll talk to you again tomorrow. Until then, go Hawks.